So another advantage to cutting slowly is being able to make the tool go where you want it to rather than trying to keep up with the tool. I'm working on a very radiused watch, so it's very difficult to make a lot of the cuts, and I'm doing a very complicated pattern that has a lot of small spaces and different leaf structures that are weaving in and out of each other. So by being able to slow down and take my time and also cut deep, because I'm going to do this in sculpted or bas relief. So I like to make my first cut fairly deep, and you can see that I even start to remove some of the background just with single lines. So going slowly, then I'm able to really control each cut and where it's going, and taking my time to make sure that, you know, the cut is where it should be. It's a little dark, the picture, but the problem is with too much light and the curved surface, you get really bright spots, so it's even harder to see. So I can come in and cut. This is stainless steel that I'm cutting, and take my time and make sure that, you know, the cuts are precise. Now I do have the heavy striker head in, and the reason for that is so that I do get a good hit forward. And I'm not trying to do real smooth, bright cuts. You know, I get my chisel marks, but all this is going to be sculpted afterwards, so it really doesn't matter all that much. If you've ever tried to cut these kind of surfaces and keep a consistent line, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, and especially in a tougher material like stainless. So it just kind of compounds the problem, or problems, I should say. I'll go ahead and just do a little bit more cutting. And you can see that it doesn't, just because I'm cutting slow doesn't mean that it goes, the overall cutting goes slower, because you can see that with each strike there's quite a bit more forward motion than, you know, you would have with real fast speed. So even at the very slowest speed, I'm still advancing forward pretty rapidly. But I get a nice deep cut, a consistent cut, and again, especially on these curved surfaces. Now, the graver I have really kind of has a heel, but it really doesn't have a heel as well. It's kind of a really elongated heel. And you really don't need much of a heel when you have this curved surface. Okay, I am going to do one more area here for you, just to show you again what happens on these ultra curved surfaces and with a much slower speed. And, you know, when the time comes that you can go a little faster, of course you should. So you can see I'm in control of exactly what's happening. I'm not trying to keep up with the tool or anything of that nature. I'm able to make the tool do what I want it to do. There's the cuts that I just made. Very deep. The other thing that, a little piece of advice here, when you're doing this kind of stuff, make sure, especially in the areas where you have little thin areas, make sure you cut way to the outside of where you want to be. What you need to be conscious of are the areas that you leave, because that's where that's going to be your leaf structure. So even though I have heavy cuts here, a lot of this is going to get removed and become background there. So that's something to keep in mind as well.